Okay, guys, this one is going to be short, sweet, and to the point. We are just going to be talking about rectangles and squares. Um, so there's a couple definitions here on this sheet. I will attach them underneath the video and then in Google Classroom, and then the third attachment will be the actual practice problems that I want you to do. So a polygon is a figure that has many sides. You have 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to n number of sides. It could have 100 sides for all we know. It just can't have less than 3, because if you have 2 sides, you don't have a polygon, you just have an angle. But if you have 3 sides, that creates a triangle. 4-sided figure is a quadrilateral, a 5-sided figure is a pentagon, a 6-sided figure is called a hexagon. Okay, so in this lesson we're just going to talk about a rectangle and a square. So both of them are 4-sided figures. A rectangle's only stipulation other than 4 sides is that it has to have 4 90-degree angles. A square has to have 4 sides. It also has to have 4 90-degree angles, but it also has to have 4 equal sides. So that means that all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. Okay, so these next two terms should be review words for you as well. Perimeter is the sum, and remember sum means addition, of all the sides of a polygon. So you just add up all the sides going around the polygon. So if you're talking about the perimeter of a rectangle, the formula is P equals 2L plus 2W. L represents the length and W represents the width. And some kids get tripped up on this. They're like, well, which one's the length? Which one's the width? The secret is that they're interchangeable. The length and the width, they can be called base and height. They're interchangeable. So if you have a rectangle, you can call this the length and this the width, or you can call this the width and this the length. It really doesn't matter. They're interchangeable. Okay? When you're talking about the perimeter of a square, it's just 4 times the side length of the square. Okay? So S is the length of the side. Area is the measurement of the stuff inside of the polygon. So where perimeter is the distance around the outside, the area is the stuff that fills up the inside. Okay, so the area of a rectangle is length times width. And again, because it's multiplication, you could do width times length. It doesn't matter the order that you do that in. And the area of a square is S to the second power, or just S times S, if you'd rather do it that way. So I just have 3 quick examples that I want to do with you. A helicopter has a 3 centimeter by 5.5 centimeter insulation pad near the control panel that is rectangular. Find the perimeter and the area of the insulation pad. So somewhere in a helicopter, there's this little pad that they use for insulation, and it's 5.5 centimeters long and 3 centimeters wide. So we have to find the perimeter. So let's do that first. And remember that the formula for perimeter is 2L plus 2W. So I'm going to do 2 times the length, I'll call the length 5.5, plus 2 times the width, which is 3. So the perimeter is 2 times 5.5 is 11, 2 times 3 is 6, so the perimeter is 17 centimeters. Okay, our area, we're going to use the length times width formula, right? So it's a rectangle. So A is equal to the length, which is 5.5, times the width, which is 3. And that one, I don't know off the top of my head. What is that? 15 and 1.5. I think that's 16.5 centimeters squared. Now I'm just going to double check that on my calculator to make sure that I'm mathing right, because you know me, sometimes I mess up with my simple math. Yep, 5.5 times 3 is 16.5. So those are our 2 answers, our perimeter and our area. Let's move on to the next question. Penn Salem Arena has a new sign at the highway. I'm making that up. They don't really have a new sign. At the entrance on Route 49, that is in the shape of a square. Each side measures 8.6 yards. Find the perimeter and the area of the sign. So again, we're going to use the perimeter of a square formula. So the perimeter of a square is 4S. So perimeter is equal to 4 times the length of the side of the square. So that's going to be 4 times 8.6, which is 34.4. So it is 34.4 yards. And now we need to find the area of that square. And again, we use the formula for the area of a square, which is S to the second power. So the side is 8.6 to the second power. You can do that one of 2 ways. You can do 8.6 times 8.6, or you can do 8.6 raised to the second power and use that x squared key. Either way, you get 73.96. So 73.96 yards squared. Okay? All right, I promised you 3 quick little examples. We have one on the back, if I can get the paper turned over. There we go. It says a boat hatch has an irregular shape as pictured below. So somewhere on the deck of the boat, there's this hatch that you can lift up and store stuff in. A boat owner needs to replace the hatch because it was ruined by water. Maybe the water seal broke or the weather stripping rotted out or something, but he needs to replace it. He needs to know how much wood to buy in order to build a new one. So we have to find the area, because that's going to tell us how much material we need in order to find the area. Okay, so what is this? This is 3 feet. This is 6 feet. This is 2.2 feet. This little guy here is 0.8 feet. This is 0.8 feet. And this is 5.2 feet. So the way I have found to do these irregular shapes is to split them into shapes that I know. So I can do one of two things here. I can draw a little diagonal, not a diagonal, a dotted line there, and split it into this shape, this rectangle up here, and this little rectangle down here. Some people choose to do it this way. They go up this way, and they split it into 2 rectangles that way. It really does not matter. My choice is this way. It doesn't have to be a dotted line. I'm going to go with a solid line here. So I just created this rectangle, which is 3 feet by 5.2 feet. And I created this rectangle, which is 2.2 feet by 0.8 feet. So now if I find the area of each of those little rectangles, then I can add them together and find the area of the whole hatch. So I'll call this rectangle 1, and I'll call this one rectangle 2. So rectangle 1's area is 3 feet times 5.2 feet. So I'm going to do that on the calculator. 3 times 5.2, whoops, 3 times 5.2, which is 15.6 feet squared. I'm going to do rectangle 2, its area. Now remember, this one is 2.2 times 0.8, so 2.2 times 0.8. I'm going to do that on the calculator. 2.2 times 0.8, which is 1.76. 1.76. And then I'm going to add those 2 answers together. 15.6 plus 1.76. 15.6 plus 1.76, which is 17.36. And that is feet squared. So that's how much material. Now obviously if he's building it from scratch, he's going to want some extra material. So maybe he'll buy 20 square feet of wood in order to build that hatch. Okay, so our last little bit here says that after making the new hatch, the owner wants to put new weather stripping around the edges of it to prevent further leakage of water in order to protect the new hatch. If the weather stripping goes around the edges of the hatch, find the perimeter of the hatch in order to figure out how much weather stripping is needed. So all that is adding up the sides around. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides that I have to add up. So I'm going to start down here. I have, actually I'm going to do it up here so I don't have to keep sliding the paper up and down, but know that this goes with the example at the bottom. So I have 2.2, whoa, that's not it, 2.2 plus this side, which is 6, plus this side, which is 3, plus this side, which is 5.2, plus this little side, which is 0.8, plus this little side, which is also 0.8. Now I like to double check. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. And I'm just going to add them up. So 2.2 plus 6 plus 3 plus 5.2 plus 0.8 plus 0.8, which is 18 feet of weather stripping. So maybe he'll want to buy 20 feet just so he has a little bit of extra left over. All right. Hope that was okay. I'll give you some practice problems to do.